Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in today's third video, doing GavsWeatherVids Sunday Round-Up for today's third video. So it's also Sunday, got an eclectic mix of this and that. We're going to be looking at things like solar activity, sea surface temperature, anomalies, Arctic oscillation, North Atlantic oscillation, and much more as well. So I shall get on that with you very shortly. Just to say that the first video released today was our nice little 7 AM upload, and we also released our summer update as well. So check out two videos if you have not yet done so. Going to be live streaming from 6 o'clock, so I shall see you live at 6. Right, so let's begin with Sunday Roundup then. So we're going to start off by looking at Solar Disk on our site today from solarham.net. We have a little bit more activity going on at the moment. Actually, we've got sunspot regions appearing on the solar disk today. So yeah, there is a little bit more activity. However, Solarham is reporting that solar activity is at low levels and is expected to remain at low levels for the next 3 days, but definitely a few more visible sunspots. This is how the GavsWeatherVids Solar Activity Tracker is looking, updated by our good friend James Ackrill, keeper of the Solar Tracker, up to the to today, 25th of April. So the orange line is depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. And you can see that we have got a bit of a spike in activity currently going on. It's gradually been trending up over the past few days, actually. So earlier on in April, we was down here on the floor of the chart, but you can see that gradually, day by day, so activity has been sort of trending upwards. The current top level of activity is just there, which is the most, the highest number of sunspots, is the highest the orange line has been since the end of last year, since back in November, where we had this spike in activity just here. So clearly, we are beginning to move into more active phase of the solar cycle, which you would expect. Of course, we're nearly 18 months now into solar cycle 25, so you would expect us to be increasing our activity. That's what we see there, that sunspot numbers are lifting up. So it's enough to start pushing up the trend lines, rather thick green and thick red lines. They're beginning to trend upwards as well. So yeah, it definitely looks like solar activity is starting to pick up there, doesn't it? Right, here am I today. Let's have a look then. So it looks like it's Gav Niggles, or is it Gab Torrents, perhaps? From The Shining. Thank you so much, Rich, for turning me into Jack. Thank you so much, Rich. Right, so this is how the spotted days and current spotted stretch are looking. So the current spotted stretch is 0 days, because we of course had sunspots. Yes, we got sunspots today. For 2021 so far, we've had 41 days without sunspots. That is 56% of the year, compared to 2020, which had 208 days without sunspots. That's 57% of the year, and 2019, which had 281 days, 77% of the excuse me, of the year. That, of course, is our solar minimum. Yeah, so gradually that percentage is coming down as we're progressing through the year. The percentage of spotted days is coming down, which of course is exactly what you expect to happen as we move through solar cycle, or move through into solar cycle number 25. Thank you so much, Rich and James, for the data, and Richard turning into Jack. Right, let's have a look at the oceans then. So we've got our 3 areas of interest, of course. We've got the ENSO region just here. We've got the Northern Pacific over here. And we've got North Atlantic over there. That's how the ocean's looking. We did last week's Sunday Roundup. That's on the 16th of April. Excuse me, once again. Let's have a look at the very latest then for solar, for sea surface temperature. Here we go. Dealing with the ENSO region first of all. So this blue area just here is, of course, the signature of La Nina, which is ever weakening. It's unraveling. We're reverting back to ENSO neutral on a week-by-week basis. So if we go back to last week, you can see that we did have the signature of La Nina through the equatorial Pacific Ocean, but weakening compared to week before, and been a further weakening this week compared to last week. So week by week, the La Nina continues to weaken, and we are back at ENSO neutral. We're waiting to see where ENSO goes then in the summer. In the Northern Pacific, that's how the North Pacific looked again when we did last week's Sunday Roundup. Let's have a look at the latest. So in the Northern Pacific, you can see that things have warmed up a little bit up towards Alaska. but still pretty cold actually in this northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean, particularly towards the coast of the United States. So generally still quite chilly in the North Pacific, unraveling with the La Nina and going back to interneutral. And then dealing with the Atlantic, this is how Atlantic sea surface temperature anomalies looked last week. Go forward to this week. Very little change there. Most parts of the North Atlantic still remain warmer than average. The Atlantic has been in a warmer than average state for several months. It continues to be so. It's particularly warm at the moment between like the Azores and sort of the Canary Islands, that sort of area just there, and then going out into the middle of the Central Atlantic, so particularly warm through there, but even down to the Tropical Atlantic, generally warm than average through there, and much of the North Atlantic has above average sea surface temperature anomalies as well. So the Atlantic continues to be in quite a warm state. The North Pacific is generally still quite cold, and the Equatorial Pacific gradually weakening the La Nina signature. SOI is something like this. So the solar oscillation index is just an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state in the Southern Ocean. It's not driving anything in its own terms, just tells what the atmosphere is doing. So when the SOI is in its positive phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. When the SOI is in its negative phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. So over the past week, we have had more positivity of the SOI, actually. So the 19th of April comes out at plus 12, 20th of April comes out at plus 21, 21st of April comes out at plus 8, 22nd of April comes out at plus 7, 23rd of April comes out at plus 12. The most recent couple of days, 24th, 25th of April, have actually gone rather negative, especially for the 25th, ahead of us in Australia, of course, going down to minus 13. But before that, we did have quite a bit of negativity. So, like the 14th of April is at minus 19, and the 13th of April is at minus 25. So, basically, we're trading negativity, positivity of the SY, which tells us that the atmospheric setup is kind of swinging between El Nino and La Nina type state, which is what you expect to happen when you're at ENSO neutral. Neither state can get an ascendancy, and so you kept locked in at ENSO neutral, with some days reflective of El Nino, some days reflective of La Nina. So that's all very typical for being at ENSO neutral. This is how the Eurasian snow cover is currently looking. So let's just zoom in on this a little bit. So we can see that snow line has pulled right way back into the middle of Russia now. So we looked at this a couple of weeks ago. Snow line was like in the far west of Russia. Now it's pulled back into the middle of Russia. Most of western Russia has become snow-free, and large parts of Scandinavia and Northern Europe are now snow-free as well. We will see the snow line continuing to retreat away, back into Siberia, and then eventually going altogether over the next couple of months. By the middle of summer, all areas of Siberia will be snow-free except mountainous regions. So yeah, the snow line now currently lying in the middle of Russia as of the 24th of April. The yellow area is Arctic sea ice. There's plenty of that, obviously, because we're just coming out of the winter. But in terms of the extent, this is from National Snow and Ice Data Centre. So let's just get rid of some of these lines, shall we? And we'll see how we're doing for 2021 compared to 2012. So the blue line is this year. The red dashed line is 2012. You can see, but we're actually under 2012 at this point of the year, and we're underneath the grey lines, which are like the long-term 30-year averages. If I put some of those coloured lines back in again, you'll see that although we're under 2012 and we're under our long-term averages, we're on a par with many of the more recent years, really 2020, 2009, 2018, 2017. All of these years over the past few years have been very close to where we currently are in terms of Arctic sea ice extent. So we'll wait and see what sort of melt season we've got in store, of course, over the coming months. So the QBO is looking, so you have to think with this, this is the very top of the atmosphere in the stratosphere just here. This is the boundary level of the atmosphere that we call the troposphere, from 30 to 50 HPA. So in the troposphere, we've got a westerly QBO, which has been sort of there for the past several months, since the second half of 2020. In the stratospheric level, we've got an easterly QBO. Now, the easterly QBO has been lurking in the stratosphere for several months, not able to push down into the troposphere, but it looks as though the easterly QBO is strengthening and showing signs of trying to descend. So you can see from the intensity of the colours, it's intensity of the blue and green colours here, but the ECQBO appears to be strengthening in the stratosphere, and it's starting to move down towards the troposphere as well. We've talked about this a lot in the videos lately. Now, in the troposphere, we still have the westerly QBO, but it doesn't look like the ECQBO is on the move. It looks like it's developing and beginning to strengthen and beginning to push down to the troposphere. So we continue to wait and see, really, where things are going to go over the next few months. But I think the ECQBO is on its way. Arctic Oscillation Observed forecast looks like this. So black line shows where I've been with the AO, red lines at the end, where the GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. So as with all of the indexes, this one is just an index that's reflecting that state this time in the Arctic. So you can see, but currently the Arctic Oscillation from the black line is there, weekly negative. The Arctic Oscillation is forecast to stay weekly negative over the next few days. And as we go to May, though, the AO possibly forecast to move into positive territory. Remember, when the AO is negative, you're going to have blocking over the Arctic and over the pole. So it looks like we're going to have some blocking. We've got some blocking at the moment. We're going to have more blocking over the next few days, but that perhaps recedes away as we get through into May. Now, the NAO is in a negative phase, interestingly. So again, the black line shows where I've been with the NAO, where red lines at the end, where the GFS ensembles forecast the NAO to go. Currently, the NAO is negative, and the GFS ensembles are forecasting the NAO to stay negative for the rest of April and into May as well. So that sort of tells us we've got a weaker low pressure around Iceland, and possibly high pressure around Iceland, and we've got lower pressure through the Azores, which is a little bit unusual for the NAO to be negative, but the AO to be more positive. Normally they're the other way round. Normally it's the AO that's negative and the NAO that is stubbornly positive, but this time we've done things a little bit differently. Anyway, it's quite an unusual setup, and that's perhaps one of the reasons we have had quite a cool and unusual sort of spring so far, and particularly so through April, which, as we talked about in yesterday's video, of course, could well turn out to be the coldest April for 35 years in central England anyway. Right, let's do some forecasting then. So these are how the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking for the next couple of weeks. The red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Sevenoaks. We're starting off close to average with the upper air temperatures right now, but they are going to be falling away over the next few days, so it is going to be turning colder as we go through the course of the coming week and into the first weekend of May, the bank holiday weekend, going to be colder than average. Moving further on through the first week of May and into the second week of May, we may have a gradual lift up in temperature taking place here, but it is slow. The white lines, the ensemble mean, never really gets back to the long-term average. So it's like a 50-50 split, I think, by second week of May. We've got all of these cold ensemble members down here. We've got warmer ensemble members up here, but they are sort of very much deviating and offsetting one another quite a lot. So I think we'll probably try and recover the temperature a little bit as we go further on into May. But it's going to be a slow process. There's no guarantee that we're going to be able to. There are several ensemble members that do become very warm or even quite hot, these ones up here, but we have an equal number but keep it stubbornly cold. Going to be turning more unsettled as well, so the next few days are going to be dry, but gradually through next week it'll turn more showery, and as we move through the first week of May it will start to turn more and more unsettled actually, and there's some quite big precipitation spikes there as we get into bank holiday weekend and beyond it, telling us that it could be that May is about to turn quite wet as well as being pretty cool. Temperature anomalies on the 25th of April to the 3rd of May going to be below average, a colder than average week coming up, not just for the UK, but through many parts of Europe as well. Precipitation anomalies on the 25th of April to the 3rd of May, near normal, a little bit dry and average in the south, a little bit above average in the north. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that high pressure is still in control, but we're drawing in more of an east-northeasterly today, so things are starting to turn a little bit cloudy and a little bit cooler for eastern areas, and this, as this high pressure continues to push northwards, will eventually start to draw down even colder air from the north or from the northeast. That's how the UK Met looks for Wednesday, then. High pressure is up towards Greenland, Iceland, low pressure is over France, and we're drawing in quite a cold east to northeast wind, or certainly quite a chilly east to northeast wind, and that takes us into the end of the week as well, when it's generally staying in from an east to northeasterly direction. High pressure blocking around Greenland, Iceland, and it will be turning showery through the second half of the week as well, and these cool showery conditions continue into next weekend. That's as far as we get with UK Met to Saturday 1st of May. GFS looks like this. So again, in come those northeasterlies on Wednesday into Thursday and Friday. Again, the wind is coming in from the northeast. We've got blocking in the North Atlantic going up towards Greenland, Iceland, drawing in that east-northeasterly flow. So cool, showery conditions into the end of the week. Over the weekend, again, just stays rather cool and showery. You continue with the blocking area of high pressure over Greenland, Iceland. We're going to try and move low pressure in from off the Atlantic. It looks like the low is being diverted down towards France, which could take some very wet weather for them. For us, we could keep things relatively dry over the bank holiday weekend, if that's right. Will be showers around, but perhaps relatively dry, but will be cool. Will continue to be cool with winds in from an east to northeast direction. Eventually, by day 10 and beyond it, the GFS midnight run does start to turn things much more unsettled, so low pressure really coming back as we get later on into the first week of May. Very unsettled, with low pressure bringing several bouts of heavy rain in from off the Atlantic, and it will still be quite cool with that sort of setup as well. GM looks like this. Again, east-northeasterlies keeping it cool, or turning it cool and showery through the course of the coming week. Blocking, again, very extensive around Greenland. Moving into next weekend, the bank holiday weekend looking cool. This ridge slips down across the country, so probably not overly unsettled for the bank holiday weekend. But that high pressure will keep wind in from the north to northeast, so that's still going to be quite cool, even if it's not particularly unsettled. By day 10, the GM just trying to draw in something a little bit less cold or milder from off the Atlantic. And then the ECM, again, high pressure blocking around Greenland and Iceland. In come those east northeasterlies on Wednesday. They carry on into the second half of the week as well. Into the weekend, again, the high pressure is there over Greenland, Iceland. All looking rather slack, so it will be showery and it will be quite cool as we go into the bank holiday weekend. Gradually, the ridge begins to slip down over the country, so I don't think we're looking at a particularly unsettled bank holiday weekend if this model output is right. But should still stay quite cool. Now, I've got this area of low pressure just out to our west there at midnight on Monday, the 3rd of May. Look what happens with that as we get through to midnight on the 4th of May, Tuesday next week. The low pressure really deeper. So this does imply that through bank holiday Monday, we possibly bring some very wet weather in off the Atlantic, and then that low pressure clears away into the North Sea by day 10 and gets wind back into the north. Once again, so cold and wet eventually by the end of bank holiday weekend with the ECM. The others aren't quite as bad as that, though. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Tepetio.com. We can show you that today. It's updated a little bit earlier. So it will be taking more showery over the coming few days. And yes, there is a suggestion that could be a little bit of windiness in those showers as the winds are coming in from like an east to northeasterly direction. But just general sort of showers, April showers as we go through this week. Some of them could be quite heavy as we go into next weekend as well. And then, of course, in comes that area of low pressure and brings that big bout of wet weather at the end of that holiday weekend. And moving up towards day 10, we pull down a northerly wind, which turns showers wintry in the north and in the northeast. We'll show you the CFSV2 week clears and also the upside table in the ECM ensembles in our live stream from 6 o'clock. The last thing we're going to show you for the Sunday Roundup is going to be the 700 millibar height only forecast for May from the CFSV2. This has gradually been changing over the past few days. It's now going for like a mid-Atlantic ridge going towards Greenland, so blocking in with lower pressure in the North Atlantic and across Northern Europe as well. So what a couple of weeks ago looked like a relatively dry and warm pattern for May is now deteriorating into something that could be quite a cool and unsettled pattern for May. Temperature anomalies in the CFS are forecast to be no better than average, and precipitation anomalies no signal, but I would have thought a relatively unsettled month is possible there. So yeah, there's been a definite deterioration from the CFSV2. A couple of weeks ago, it's like going for a warm, dry May pattern. Now it seems to be hinting at quite a cool and unsettled May. We shall see how that plays out. If you enjoyed this video, please can you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Tell friends and family to subscribe as well. That's absolutely great. And drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. So just subscribe, you'll see future weather content. Right, that's it then. So we're done for the Sunday Roundup this week. Going to be back later on, live stream from 6 o'clock. So as I say, we'll show you the upside table in these ensembles in live stream, and we will also show you CFSV2 weeklies, and of course we're going to show you long range data because it's Sunday live stream. We're going to show you long range data from the CFS as well. So I shall see you live at 6. But for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.